Dr. Stephen Akintayo, Chairman Gtext Holdings, through one of the subsidiaries, GVest, is rolling out a fractional investment opportunity in African real estate, the first of its kind in Africa. And the plan is to raise $100 million through a digital cooperative model to build green and smart housing in some African countries. In addition, following his nomination and award as a Forbes Best of Africa leading investment coach and real estate mogul last month in London, Dr. Akintayo is currently on his Africa book signing tour. The tour would also offer an opportunity to do some market study. Dr. Stephen Akintayo joins me now to discuss the opportunities that the cooperative model offers and other issues. Dr. Akintayo, good to have you and welcome.
Yeah, again, you're looking good.
Thank you, my friend. How are you? Good. Is it good morning? Because I know you are speaking to me this morning from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. So I guess
Yes,
it's evening over there. Or is it
yes,
night?
was 7 hours ahead,
Yes.
so it's 20 p.m. Yeah.
Yes. So welcome again and thank you for the compliment. I think I will
Mm,
start by saying congratulations are in order for you. Of course,
mm.
we follow each other, so I definitely know some of your escapades and some of the accolades that you're getting. But congratulations again. You know,
Thank you.
a man that has been suffering, a man that suffered many, many years ago. You know, if they had told you you would get to this level at this time, what would you have said? If they had showed you a picture of where
Yeah.
you are now, like 30 years ago, what would you have said?
Funny enough, I definitely would be not at this level, but I'd always had big dreams and I was quite ambitious growing up, and so I'd always wanted to be great, but the speed and at the level we're getting it is humbling. It's really, really humbling. Mm.
So congratulations again. I know I'll come back to that later. But let me start my question by asking you the idea of cooperatives, which is almost as old as savings itself. You know, we have that even in Nigeria, the Susu model, cooperative model, where you see a lot of people coming together to put funds together for a certain cause. But what distinguishes this your digital cooperative model from others, especially in the real estate sector?
Beautiful. So number one is the fact that we're leveraging on technology. Everybody's able to download a mobile app. They can see their transactions, they can see what they're doing from the mobile app, as well as opportunity to take advantage of. Also, the meetings, as we know, the typical cooperative is was the fiscal meeting quarterly. With this, you can do virtually. And with this, we can easily bring together the 54 African nations, just one platform, and everybody is able to take advantage. Number next is the fact that we're using a fractional real estate model. For example, if you were to own a property and it costs, let's say, $100,000, now 20 people can come together and then each person contributing $25,000. And those 20 people own that particular house and they also shared the rental income that comes from the house. So these are some of the advantages of this. So I don't need to wait till I have $100,000 before I can own my property in Ghana or Uganda or Zambia, at some of the countries we're considering, or Kenya. And I can also be getting my returns. And even if I'm not from Kenya or from Uganda, I can get my returns in whatever currency and wherever part of the world I am in.
Okay, first things first, even before the idea of cooperative, what made you come up with this model in the first place, especially in the sector where you play in?
Yeah, it's because of this. I mean, you journalists always ask affordable housing. Affordable. I mean, I've never, I practically can do one interview without people saying affordable housing, and we know in reality that's difficult to achieve. What we can do is accessible housing, not affordable. Anywhere in the world, real estate is quite expensive. And I've done the maths many times where I've proven that a three-bedroom in Houston, Texas, USA, is more expensive than a three-bedroom in Lagos, Nigeria, which is even where you have the most expensive properties. In fact, the cost of a three-bedroom in Houston will probably get you 3 units of three-bedroom in Nigeria. But the difference is that you can drop 10%. Okay. And then, so in other words, I can drop $100,000 and I have access to $1 million worth of real estate. So they've made it accessible. It's still not affordable, right?
Yeah,
But it's
because they have
accessible.
a good mortgage system.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we felt this model can make it accessible, where, okay, even if I alone can own one house, 20 of us can own, and we can share the returns that comes from it. So, that's the kind of innovation we're bringing into, because you can't change the fact that the cost of building materials, most of them imported, constantly keeps going up. All right. And there's nothing a developer like us can do about that. We don't have control over cement, we don't have control over the doors, the building materials that is being used. We don't. Even the land is also constantly going up. If you want a land that has C of O in Nigeria, you know how expensive that could be.
Okay.
So we don't have that control. But what we can do is to make it accessible, and that's one of the innovations we're bringing to bear.
Okay, I just want to take you up on perhaps what you said earlier in terms of even the cost of housing in Texas or even somewhere in the U.S. You try to compare it with Nigeria. Are you comparing it based on the exchange rates conversion? Because whatever it is, now I mentioned the exchange rates conversion earlier, the naira has been depreciating. So no matter even whatever, if you exchange it to naira, it will look very expensive.
Yeah. No, yes, definitely. If you The reality is that if you convert it to naira, it's more expensive, and that's what we're saying. But it doesn't change the fact that, I mean, we do real estate in the US and UK and Dubai, and we know that you will sometimes think only those in those countries do will buy. But we see situations where people based in Nigeria are buying property from us in the US or are buying property from us in Dubai, and meaning that they're having to convert their naira to dollar to buy those properties as well. Some are even doing it because of their children, considering the fact that they constantly need to help their children's tuition fee who are studying abroad. So owning real estate and then putting the rental income towards their children, tuition is one of the reasons why you see some Nigerians based in Nigeria still investing. Of course, you still have Nigerians based in the US or UK or Dubai still investing that way. But yes, when you convert the money, it's quite expensive as well.
Okay, doctor, let me still probe further what you talked about earlier in terms of the idea of cooperatives. And you said it's about bringing monies or people, different investors bringing their different funds to invest. And when they can get one house and they make money from the rental income, will their return on investment only be from that rental income? Because I'm wondering what may be going on in the minds of some people that are watching us now, some people that may be interested in what you're saying and saying, okay, if I bring in, let's say, $5,000 or whatever the amount is at to invest, is it that I'll just be making money if that house is on rental? Number two is if I want to opt out, by any means, anything can happen, and I say I want to opt out. How can they opt out? Doctor, I have to ask you all these questions. You know, you are my, you're in my terrain and I understand these things. So I've got to ask you those deeper questions. And I know you're up to it, so do tell me.
Well, so I would say based on what we currently run in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, because the African fund we're launching will still be in October. We've not launched it yet.
Okay.
But based on the way the GVES currently runs in Nigeria, through the digital cooperative model currently run, there are options. There is the saving towards buying. There
Okay.
is you jointly own, and your income is strictly on the rental income. And if you decide to pull out, yes, you can do that because the cooperative itself can buy you out. But of course, there are
Okay.
certain deductions that will be done. Also, we have the option of fixed returns where you say, hey, I don't care about, because I don't want a situation about, oh, so nobody is renting the property, so I'm not making any money, right? I've given the cooperative my money. I want to be able to get certain return, on a fixed basis. We have that option. So what the digital app, cooperative app is able to do is to give you that option, and you can choose which one you want. And you don't need to talk to anybody, even whether you are withdrawing or whether you are investing or you are picking whichever option. And it has the option for Naira, for dollar, and several other currencies as well. So the app for the Nigerian version is currently on the iOS, Android. You can download and join the cooperative and pick any investment opportunity you want to take advantage of. But we've seen this as a major disruption that has the potential to really change the game in terms of investing in real estate. And mind you, why we're doing this, particularly for African continent, is also that it protects us as well. You know how Africa works, where a government comes in, they don't like your face, and you're not even from that country, they can just kick you out. So with this model, the people in those countries have put their money together. So the government is not seeing Gtext as some foreign entity, but as a cooperative model where the people from that place have put in their money and they're hoping to get, value for it. So you can't just kick us out because we brought in, 100% of the investment. But rather with this model, we are just dropping a portion, we're bringing the skills, we're bringing the concepts, and a portion of our own funds. And then the people in those locality, whether those in diaspora or those from those countries, are able to then put in their money. And so they own those assets. And for us, it's also a way of guarantee as well.
Okay, $100 million is a substantial amount of money. In fact, when I did the exchange, I'm getting about with 719 naira, I'm getting about 79 billion. Or how much is it again? I like, doctor, are you certain that investors will be eager to participate in this? And what type of investors are you searching for? Are they institutional investors, retail investors, or even diaspora investors? And another question I want to add to that, is there a threshold amount to be invested?
Beautiful. So, yes, $100 million is a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
in real estate sector, it's not a lot. Real estate is capital intensive. I tell people that if I were still in the tech industry, I probably would be an arrogant man by now. But you see, in real estate, $100 million, in certain conversation, is just a small boy starting the game, right? Because it's capital intensive. We have to be realistic about these things. And when you're building green, meaning you are doing your own renewable energy, you're providing infrastructure, you're doing smart homes, it's a lot. However, will we get people to invest? The good news is that we already have an amazing people. Remember, I don't know whether I was here on this station when I started my tour, Ghana, Cameroon. In fact, some places we were targeting, okay, we'll do 20, 30 people. They had to take a whole theater. I never knew that the brand had grown. And we don't just have amazing following, particularly for my personal brand, in those African nations. We have people who started real estate because I influenced them into that. And some of them are already doing millions of dollars in their business. And they're willing to then, partner with us and see how we can come into those countries and do something bigger. What type of investors?
Mm-hmm.
Institutional investors can directly deal with the Gtext holding company, not necessarily with the cooperative.
Okay.
The cooperative is very much of retail, but we're targeting largely Africans in diaspora. When you look at the remittance from diaspora in Nigeria, is over 100 million, 100 is over $20 billion every year in Nigeria alone. Now, if you look at the entire 54 African countries, we're talking of over $100 billion remittance from diaspora alone every single year. And these funds will be raised in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's not something we're raising once. Threshold, we're looking at between $5,000 to $10,000 minimum investment. But let's see how it all goes. When we finally launch in October. But for the ones we do in Nigeria, that's like the threshold.
Why are you so focused on Africa at this time? Even though you're an African, I know that locations like Europe North America, as well as Middle East, have piqued your interest in the past. So why are you focusing on your continent at this time?
Well, good question, and I get that question. When I visit each of these African countries for the book tour we're currently doing, and but for me was it's the typical mindset. The grass is greener, Dubai economy is better, US, UK, but haven't done business in those places. And I think sometimes the challenge with we Africans when we condemn Africa is that we've not done businesses in these countries. We've only gone there to work or we've gone there as tourists. It's when you really do business in those countries, you don't understand their laws, you don't understand their processes, and sometimes you then appreciate Africa. That is not that bad. There are certain things, and I'm not trying to, I don't patronize government anyway. I'm There are certain things that we take for granted with democracy. For example, you have the NSAS that happened in Nigeria, and then government set up their own panel, and that panel indicted them. That can't happen in Dubai, for example. It's not possible, right? It's not going to happen, right? So when you go back and you look back, yes, there are challenges. Africa is not that, there are so many areas we can improve. But when you do your analysis very well as an entrepreneur in those countries, you realize that Africa is not that bad. The people are hungry, they're passionate, they're very hardworking, and the diaspora market is huge. They're hungry about going back home, replicating what they've seen in developed countries back in Africa. So as I started touring Africa for my book, I saw the opportunities. It's amazing. Virtually in the whole of Africa, properties are valued in dollars, right? There's a dollar equivalent to every property you're buying in Ghana, in Kenya, in Zambia. So what's the difference really? Investing and the profit margin in Africa is a lot more
Okay,
than
let's come
you
into that.
get, that you get, in developed countries, because of course they are the risk, they are the
The
return.
return. Yeah. I was actually coming to that, but you've answered. I wanted to ask if investing in your sector in Africa is actually more profitable than other countries which you've invested, but you've answered the question. But perhaps I'll take it a little bit further. Still in Africa, where do you think is more profitable, even among the African countries? Is it Ghana? Is it Kenya? Is it Nigeria? Is it Zambia? Where inflation, where their currency is really strong, where the what's the name of this their president again? Oh, I've forgotten now. But when he came in, inflation you really attacked the challenges in the economy in Zambia, and Zambia seems to be getting it right now. So where in Africa do you think that return on investment is higher?
Funny enough, you won't believe it, is Nigeria.
Mm.
because
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the population,
Hmm.
I think the population is a major advantage, and the housing deficit is very huge. However, the challenge is when you change your money to dollar, all that profit is
It's
gone. And
gone. Yeah.
Zambia, I kind of called Zambia like the Wakanda of Africa, really, because when I visited Zambia, the Victoria Falls, I did the Lion Walk. It's just amazing, and it's funny how a lot of Westerners have invested so much in Zambia. There are parts of Zambia that when you go, you don't even see black people,
Mm.
purely whites, who have done real estate in those axes, very pricey. So for me, the tour opened me up to the fact that the income is there, the return is there, and most of them price it even in dollars. And when you check, because of their currency, like in Zambia currency is stronger than
Mm.
Nigeria
Mm-hmm.
currency, so it might almost end up looking as if you're probably going to make better profit in Zambia. But of course, we need to start business there first and see how the market goes. But from the exchange rate, it looks as if one will have better profit than Nigeria.
Yes, that's Zambia's president, President Hichilema. Yes, that's the
Yeah.
name I was.
I love the name, by the way, though
Yes, yes.
it's too. the people feel that money is not flowing. But I think that's the kind of president Nigerians want.
All right. In what African countries now, you've mentioned Zambia and co, but in which of these African countries do you want to construct eco-friendly as well as smart homes? And let me add to that, how worried are you about some pockets of violence right now or threats of war in some parts of Africa, as well as even the lower purchasing power in many African countries? Do you see that also impacting your sector? And the lower purchasing power is because of the slow economic growth that African countries are facing. Here in Nigeria, of course, high inflation. You will ask, we are looking for money to eat first, let alone investing thousands of dollars or millions of dollars in real estate. Let me even find food to chop first. Doctor is telling me to bring money to do what?
Well, so our pilot countries are Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, and Zambia.
Okay.
But of course, the goal of the fund is to expand to virtually all the African countries if possible. In terms of affordability, the diaspora remain the key. We've seen
Okay.
this happen in India and in many other countries, that the diaspora becomes a major. I mean, see the year of return that is happening in
In
Ghana.
Ghana,
You'll be
yeah.
shocked. I mean, like I said, the advantage I also have mentees who are already doing, constructing houses in those places. So we have some data to work with. And one of my in Ghana, most of his houses are sold to Ghanaians in diaspora who come back home, buy the house, put it for short lets, Airbnb, and is doing very well. So with that happening to help the purchasing power challenge. However, we need to remember that you don't have an option when it comes to housing. Real estate, every economic activity is based on real estate, including farming. Even the food you eat needs real estate for you to be able to plant. So real estate is not an option. It's something everybody, if I have these quotes that is quite funny, that landlords, make money in their sleep because tenants go to work for them. Because when you look at how much of your salary actually goes into paying rent, if you don't have your own house yet, you understand that actually you are working for your landlord in reality. So whatever happened, everybody has to still prioritize investing in real estate, and the market keeps getting stronger. In terms of violence, what I see is that the world generally is changing, and I think everybody is making sounding statements. Uh, where it will flip, how it will flip, we're yet to know and to see. But I think when you look at even the coup, they've become more peaceful. You're having coup happening now, and the president has not been killed. You don't even have one bloodshed. So it's telling you that even the violence is reducing. Of course, we have to, because sometimes the noise gets us to not focus on the real advantages and the opportunity here. And also, you are beginning to see Africa demand that the world power should treat us with respect. Should understand that we're different, we're unique, and you can't just throw things to us and we have no choice than to take it. You're
Okay.
seeing African presidents going to negotiate with Putin over Ukraine. So I think, there is a lot of potential, and Africa is rising.
Mm. Speak to me about the real estate mogul and Forbes Best of Africa Leading Investment Coach Awards that you received recently. For you, what does it mean? I was saying at the beginning of the program, would you have imagined yourself, years down the line? So when you were there, speak to me about how you felt and what it means for you.
Well, I'm humbled. I mean, you recap it very well in terms of where I'm coming from versus where I am today. It's humbling. I'm probably the youngest who got that award. In their history. I think last year we had, was it last year we had Pastor Paul Adefarasi who got the humanitarian version of the award. So when you look at the quality of people who have gotten that for Best of African award, it's humbling to be added to that list. Really, really humbling.
Mm.
But for me, my view is that the award is for everybody. Investors who believe in us, because it's a different things when you are investing with a company where the chairman is the son of a rich man or is bankrolled by a politician. But when you are investing with a company where the founder has no wealthy background and you still trust that person and trust that company, and you put in your money and they decide to move internationally and you still believe in them. I remember, I don't know whether I shared it on this station, a man who invested with us in Dubai over $1 million. We never met until the day he came for his key in Dubai. So I had to ask him out of curiosity, you kept sending money, you never met us before. What if we're not real? And he said something very funny. He said, you are too intelligent, you know, to scam me. And that was why I invested with you. I listened to you and I believe that somebody of your insight, understand how to legitimately make money. So there's no point trying to play games with people. And so the award goes to those people. It goes to our staff. It goes to my family. It goes to media people like you who constantly, put spotlight on what we do. So it's a whole village award. Like it takes a village to raise a child in Africa.
I know you're on a book tour now and you have many books, but which one of your books are you currently promoting?
Yeah, so remember the Billionaire Habits? I was here to do that, then followed by Billionaire Code. So this year we did three new ones: Billionaire Habit for entrepreneurs, Billionaire Habit for pastors, and Billionaire Land Banker for those in the real estate sector. So what we're doing is a combination of those five series, in those visits. So we've done Ghana, Cameroon, Kenya, Zambia. This leg, we started with Kenya again, Mauritius, Uganda. I'm going to Rwanda next,
Okay.
and then we do South Africa later. So it's amazing. It's exciting.
So with all of this, these are the countries you've visited, and I know now you're speaking to me from Malaysia. Which other countries do you want to visit apart from those which you've called and the one you are in right now? Are there some others that you want to visit?
Yes, so we have Rwanda next and South Africa next,
Okay.
but I'm very curious about Gambia. So we're hoping but that will be later in the year. Gambia is also another place, but I'm also doing a mixture of US, UK, Europe tour in September, October, and I'm hoping to put Singapore somewhere in that mix. So it's a global tour for me because for us is we started local, but it's a global vision, and the intention is to expand all over the world. Whether in my lifetime or after I'm long gone. Because for us, it's a transgenerational business we're building. We currently are running with a Vision 2035, and in the next 5 years, we're launching our Vision 2100. So even by the time I'm leaving this earth, we will have 100-year goal plan for my predecessors to carry on with.
Mm. That seems to me like a business succession, which is another topic. Perhaps we'll talk about another day. There are new economic policies that have come out with Tinubu's administration. How do you think that these policies will influence the real estate sector, which you play in?
Well, we I mean it has both side of the coin. You have the negative side, which is the affordability is further reduced with what is going on. More people won't be able to afford property, and this is one of the reasons why for me I supported the subsidy removal policy, as well as the having a same dollar instead of having black markets and CBN rates, which was just enriching some few people. However, I think the palliative, is just like you carry out operation on someone. You must make sure you have enough pain reliever, painkillers, drug that they are using, so that they don't die after the operation. So I think the pain reliever was not released on time. I, for example, expect the government to have announced, the new minimum wage, even if it's going to take effect months later. and I don't expect anything less than 200,000 from federal government, they can have a two option, federal government 200,000, state government 100,000, because even in developed countries they don't pay the same amount, but at least roll out that or announce it, not this whole dragging when exactly and how much exactly are workers going to be earning going forward. Of course, CNG buses, we need to have had solar buses, CNG buses in terms of hundreds of thousands that are already out there as we speak to reduce cost of transportation. So there's a whole lot that needed to have been done. I think it's too slow in executing that, and if you're not careful, more people are going to be thrown into
Into
poverty.
poverty, exactly.
But the upside is that now we can easily calculate how much exactly it will cost us to build a house, not what has been happening, whereby in 3 years of trying to do construction, what you probably plan to build with 40 million has increased to 120 million within a 3-year period. At least now there's a fixed amount in that regard, and the country also is able to earn enough, and you are not putting all your income in
Okay.
paying them. Yeah.
Okay, what future strategies does Gtext Holdings that now your companies have to mitigate the impacts and the effects on your clients, your agents, as well as your developers? Are you putting anything in place?
Yeah, so what we decide to roll out is a more flexible payment plan for those who are buying into our property. We used to do 0 to 3 months as installment. Now we're running a 12 months installment if you're buying land from us. Our housing used to be 12 months if you're doing installment option. Now we're doing 36 months installment option. So those are the things in our control. Of course, some other things are not in our own control as a private developer. But those are what we can do from our end. Flexible payment, the GVES concept as well. Just rolling out a lot of using technology to see how we can support and make housing affordable, accessible, not affordable, because affordability is not in our hands.
So affordability is on demand and supply, or the issue market forces.
Exactly. Government actually.
Market
Government
forces
has a lot
and
they can,
government. Yeah.
yeah, market forces and government has a lot they can do to make that affordable. Yes.
Okay. I think we'll leave it at that today. Thank you very much for joining
Thank you
me.
for having me. It's a wonderful interview.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Dr. Stephen Akintayo, who is the chairman Gtext Holdings, and we've been talking about so many issues. So that's the much today as well as this week. Thank you for your company as always. Please join us again next week. Of course, from Monday, I'll be here bright and early. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye now.